Hello and welcome back to Ycft. This week we are looking at them with an exclamation mark at the end. I got that right?
Yes.
You have no idea how many takes that's taken me. I kept calling it an apostrophe. Like, I swear, I went to school. I know what an exclamation mark is.
It's been a long weekend.
Yeah, them.
Them.
That's them with an apostrophe at the end.
Exclamation mark.
Them with an apostrophe at the end.
Exclamation
Fuck!
mark.
That makes it a black and white movie.
Hey.
So, the black and white setting is back.
Yes.
That says it came out in 1954, and it is about giant ants.
It is about giant ants.
In the early days of the atomic monster craze, and we are into is the first giant bug.
Apparently, it has that accolade. Yeah, the first big bug feature.
Yeah. So, basic plot: it's a couple of decades after a decade after the nuclear testing.
Yeah, the first atomic bomb test, which was 46.
46?
I think. Yeah.
So just under 10 years after that event, and that has caused the local ants in the area to grow to massive size.
Yes.
And start causing havoc.
Bedlam.
Bedlam. Yes, they're a little bit of a nuisance.
They are, you know.
And interesting with this, how this film kind of came about, it was Universal, wasn't it, who made this one?
I believe so.
They initially passed on it. But the only reason they decided to actually make it is because Paramount showed interest in it.
Yeah.
So like, no, you can't have that. We want that. Even though we said no to it. So it was initially meant to be in widescreen, colour, and in 3D. They actually did do some test shots with the giant mechanical ants, or big practical ants.
Yeah.
Which look really cool, to be honest.
Do.
They actually really do hold up.
I think
today.
they hold up really well.
During some tests with using the 3D camera, it broke. The camera just broke.
Yeah, the rig broke.
And then about a week before shooting, the studio got panicked about costs and whatnot, so it was reduced down to black and white and cropped. But weirdly, the titles are still in colour.
Yes.
Which was really strange, really strange to see. It's
Yeah.
obviously, that would have been in other films as well, but out of the other black and white films that we've done, that was the first one where I've seen that.
Yeah.
But some of the shots are still framed for 3D. So there's lots of shots like the ants' heads going up to the screen, or when they've got flamethrowers, they're shooting them into the screen.
Yeah.
Which do still look really cool.
Yeah, it does.
But yeah, we're supposed to be in 3D, colour, widescreen.
Yeah.
And they kind of muted it a little bit.
They did, but I like the black and white.
I really like the black and whites.
I think it works really
to be honest,
well.
I think it would help. You said the ants, they were purple in real life,
Well,
weren't they?
apparently they were purplish, like a purple-green colour. And I did try to find footage online of like someone who tried to colour saturate the colorise some footage from the film, and it just looks brown to me, but I don't know if that was just because it was a bad colorization. But apparently, they were like a purpley green colour. But I think they look pretty good.
Help them stand out in the black and white.
Yeah.
They do still look pretty good. I know they had 3 functioning mechanical ants.
Yeah.
So you only ever see 3 on screen.
Yeah.
At once.
Apparently there was a goof in one of the scenes as well, because I don't know if it was released on the DVD cut or if it was in like the theatrical cut, but once you can see a lot of the ant's body, but you can see like some of the like mechanics.
Yeah, that was an accident. They fixed that on the DVD.
On the DVD,
digitally fixed that.
Okay.
I did notice it. Watch. I think if I go back now, I'll be able to find
Probably
it. But I did notice it on
yeah.
first viewing, and to be honest, I said this film mostly holds up.
I think it does. I really like this movie. I saw this when I was little, and it's kind of one of those films. I think it was on TCM a lot, like an old Turner Classic Movie channel. So I had a lot of childhood memories of it. I think it was your first time watching it.
Yeah, my first reference of it. I'm just going to cut into your frame here.
Yes.
Take this. My first reference of it was in Eight-Legged Freaks.
Oh,
that's the first time
yeah.
I saw anything of it. I think I've seen it referenced since, but that would have been my first exposure to it.
Yeah. And it's basically, obviously, it's about giant ants in this desert town, just kind of, running rampant, and they need to try and quash this, the ants from reproducing queens specifically. But there's a core cast of characters, and the film starts where we've got these 2 policemen, and they encounter this little girl who's clearly very traumatized, just wandering through the desert, and it turns out that she was living in this little trailer home.
I was going to say, in the first shot we see her from the helicopter, that is not a little girl.
It's definitely a woman. Yeah, we both clocked onto that. But yeah, her family this little trailer where she was living, it's been just absolutely destroyed by these giant ants whose presence is always kind of prefaced by this weird screeching, high-pitched sound. Which I really, really like, and other films have kind of utilised that too.
Yeah,
Mainly Jaws.
Red Dwarf have also utilised it. It does very much take a Jaws type approach of it.
It does. It's like
less
you know
is
it's
more.
coming. Yeah, yeah. You don't necessarily need to see it. We can we know it's around, which I really like. And then the film just sort of takes off from there. Like they piecing different things together. They're doing autopsies on bodies, and there's this acid that's in the body, and they don't know what that is or where that's come from. So they bring in these two experts, father and daughter, who come to the realization that, well, it's giant ants, and that's obviously confirmed later on. And the film,
well, one of the ants that destroy a store, they got into sugar barrels.
Yeah.
We later see that they've attacked a cargo train that was transporting sugar.
Yes.
Ants like sugar.
They are attracted to sugar.
Yeah. The film then kind of goes on. Then we get a lot of scenes of explaining what ants do,
Yeah.
how they mate, how they travel,
Yeah.
and a lot of characters investigating, talking to people, and I get why. It's a product of its time. They obviously can't have the ants in every single scene. But the only real downfall of this movie for me was the lack of ants in the middle.
Yes,
But I really enjoyed the performances, and I like that they are investigating, trying to right, well, they have to be here. And they end up in a very famous film location.
It's in LA,
in LA, it's been used in Greece. It was used in Terminator 2 for like the motorcycle chase.
Yeah.
So they have a brief moment there. The beginning of the film and the end of the film, I love. It's just the middle. It's a lot of just talking.
The film really, really tries to ground itself in a very kind of scientific logic, which I do quite like, but because of that, there are a lot of heavy sciencey sequences. I mean, there was literally a whole scene devoted to showing an ant's life cycle. Like, there's a scene of just all these men, these army men, in like this big, like, long board table meeting, and they're just watching a projection of ants. Yeah. It's like, okay, well.
One thing I do like is that it's not. If a monster, like with monster movies today, it tends to be like they try to explain to the scientists and the military what's going on, or other scientists, usually scientists say it, and they're like, no, that's impossible. So then they have to go off on their own to do it. The military get on board quite quickly.
I do, yeah. It
so I appreciate that. Well. That's not a cliche that had come in to cinema yet.
They don't, shut down the old fuddy-duddy scientist and his daughter. They don't write him off. They pay attention, they listen, and they believe him, which I like. There's also a sentence that the guy says, Harold Medford, who I think he's played by an actor called Edmund Gwen. He's dead sweet. the main scientist guy. And he says something. He says, ants are the only other creatures on Earth other than humans that can wage war. I didn't know that, but that was really interesting.
Ants will fight for hours and hours at a time in single combat.
They will, but the idea of raging war.
Yeah, the technical limitations of the ants meant that they could not show the ants raging war.
We had to tell this. We couldn't show this
because we found out while watching this and just doing a little bit of research that back in January of this year they announced a remake, which is interesting.
Yes, we had literally absolutely no idea about this, but this was. So a remake is officially in the works, with the director Michael Giacchino.
He's an Oscar-winning composer.
Yes.
Who recently directed the Marvel special on Disney Plus, Werewolf by Night.
Yeah.
Which was also in black and white.
Yes.
And it was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. The black and white looked amazing. I kind of hope this is also in black and white, or at least partially in black and white.
That would be really cool.
That would be really cool. But then it's like, so the only thing I think they could improve on it would be to have more ants. But do we show, is there good ants and bad ants?
Yeah, exactly.
Do they create a pheromone to make some ants on their side? Or is it going to be more like an Eight-Legged Freaks type thing and it's more of a comedy? We are far away from that era of monster movies. So do they make them bigger?
See,
do we have them destroying cities like in the poster?
Yeah.
It will be a very, very different movie, but also I don't think they can just call it Them.
Them.
Which I love. So it's a little girl that wakes up with a smell. He actually goes, Them. It's really good. She goes all out in that one moment.
Oh yeah, she does. Yeah, I don't think we see her again after that.
No, we don't. No, we don't. She's done
Yeah.
her part. She's gave us
Yeah.
the title.
I also wonder how they are going to do the remake, because as much as I do really enjoy the 1954 film, it is very much a product of its time. Everything from the dialogue, to the acting that they did back then, and to the line delivery. Like, it's very kind of stuffy a little bit, and we get, obviously a little bit of classic sexism comes into it as well. So that, the lady scientist
Sexism that leads to romance.
Sexism that maybe leads to romance, which I kind of like how every single relationship in this film is purely professional. I think if in the remake, if they did the same characters, there'd be the temptation to create more of like an overt love triangle.
I would love if they set it in the 50s as well.
I would love it too. But the classic line of like, oh God, where is it? Where she insists on going into the ant's nest because she's the scientist. She knows what she's looking for.
Women have no place in an ant's nest.
That's literally the line.
We have no place.
Oh no, he's like,
in an ant's nest.
An ant's colony is no place for a woman. Like, she is the scientist.
But like I said, he is right, but it's also no place for men either. None of us belong in an ant's colony.
In a gigantic ant's colony. But yeah, like the movie kind of takes on a sense of urgency in the sense that, that they need to stop the queens from reproducing and more queen eggs from hatching.
Yeah, because there is that within like a year, ants would be dominating the planet.
Yeah, and that wouldn't be great.
No, unless we found a way to tame them and put a saddle on them.
But true to the time, true to a lot of like those classic kind of like 50s monster movies as well, and obviously budget limitations, there's a lot of exposition. There's a lot of the scientist characters explaining the dangers, explaining what they need to do, and the scientist explaining everything trope. It's something that we've seen before, but it really is quite heavy.
Wasn't it one of the first films to do that as well?
But it very well could have been.
Yeah. It
really was. There's a lot of men in suits smoking in the film. Another classic thing from this time period. An issue that I had as well, and I said it to you as we were kind of getting towards the end of the film, is so we've got Ben, who's one of the policemen. We've got Pat, who's the lady scientist. We've got her dad, Harold. We've got the FBI man, Bob. It's like, right, core group of characters. None of them are ever in danger. No. Even when they go into the ant's nest, none of them are really ever in a sense of danger. Like, none of them are killed early on, none of them are taken. Like, there is a bit of a body count in the movie, but it's like throwaway characters that we never really meet. And so, I don't know, you can't really get invested in like the danger of it. Yeah, well, spoiler warning. I mean, this film is like it's nearly 70 years old. Yes. And I think it's... One of our main characters does die. My favourite one. I think it was as soon as I said to you, none of these guys are like in any kind of danger. Really grab it. Ben. Ben is a absolute hero. I really liked him. Saving children. Dies saving children. Yeah, we open the film with him saving a child, and he dies saving a child. Their way of escaping from these ants that they've seen is to run into the area where they came from. Yes. Yes. Kids in movies are dumb. But I think if we let a couple of them die, then they'd probably stop doing it. Yeah. But he dies saving the children. That whole final sequence... It's interesting. It's a ton of fun. I think it's really interesting for a couple of reasons. Because they do ultimately find the Queen's Nest, and... I love how they just put wings on the pre-existing ants' bodies. Yeah, I know. But the way that it's shot, so you have the three queens kind of hovering and sheltering in this bunker place. Like, where did they get... I know it's in, like, that famous location. Like subway tunnels. In, like, the tunnels, yeah. So they're deep down underground, and the three ants, the three queens, are just there. And they're kind of below this dip. And then you've got all the army... and all the main characters looking over at them, like, putting them in a position of power, looking down over the queens. And then they just start blasting. They just start blasting the queens, the eggs. I mean, it's Sigourney Weaver in Aliens, like, to another level. The subversion's been that the ants are above our eye line. Yes. They're big, like, between 9 and 11 foot tall. So by the end of the movie... things have switched back to how they are, where ants are bugs on the ground and we are the giants. It's almost like we're meant to signify back to normality. It's back to normality, but I think it's the classic Jaws effect. Mm. It's yeah, these things are a menace and they are dangerous, but in that moment I kind of can't help but feel sorry for the queens because it's like they're just helplessly looking up into these massive bazookas, not really understanding the danger that they're in.
Yeah.
And then, we do what we do best and we just absolutely
Destroy
massacre them. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you bet they have killed people?
They have killed people.
Yeah. But they are just animals at the end of the day. I'll tell you one thing I really like. I'm glad that they were allowed to do this. They constantly are setting fire to the mechanical ants.
Yeah, they are.
And that really sold a lot of the moments for me. And that's why you get all the 3D, like them shooting flamethrowers into the cameras. But you actively see ants on fire. And it kind of reminded me of The Thing in a lot of ways. And it just really sold that moment. Because obviously these things, they would have been expensive to run. Then you constantly have to reskin them.
Well, from what
it just helped. It just really helped sell that moment.
Oh, I totally agree. Like, I mean, the ants were animatronics supervised by a guy called Ralph Ayres. And yeah, I think, I don't know, like, they're not necessarily scary looking necessarily. And yeah, anything gigantic is quite cumbersome and, potentially quite easy to escape. But I actually think, in black and white anyway, they hold up very, very well.
I think that their eyes in the colour version we saw, their eyes looked a bit weird. And
Yeah.
we noticed that on the poster, I think it's in the trivia as well, they give them cat's eyes rather than
make them more evil looking.
Cat's eyes, make them more evil looking.
Yeah.
The poster for this is great. But I think obviously if we try to put our minds back to the 50s, they never would have seen something like giant ants. So that would have been...
No.
We have seen every possible version of giant something.
Yeah.
So to be fair, this is the first time I'd seen giant ants.
Giant ants, yeah. I mean, some of the 1950s...
In real life, because ants are creepy. Like, I imagine a real life giant ant would be pretty scary.
Well, they can rage war.
That's what we need to see in the remake.
That's
the ants
the thing.
need to rage war.
Yeah, rather than have it explained, like maybe show us the catastrophe that these things could cause. But just some other 1950s monster movies. So obviously Godzilla, The Beast from 20,000
Do we class that as
Fathoms.
a monster movie or like a kaiju movie?
Ooh.
Okay. Same. I think at that point they were kind of the same thing.
Alright,
But it's still an atomic era.
An atomic era thing, yeah. The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, Tarantula, also exclamation mark. Attack of the Crab Monsters, which is our friend Roger Corman. Attack of the Giant Leeches, the Giant Behemoth, and It Came from Outer Space. And that's just a few.
Came from Outer Space. I've heard a lot of people talk very fondly about.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind.
I really want to watch Tarantula because I was also introduced to that one in it. Like Freaks.
I did actually make a note of this, and I think a few other people have maybe pondered this as well. If James Cameron maybe once upon a time saw this movie. Not to say that it's similar to Aliens. Like, there's obviously a lot more differences than there are similarities. But there are a few things that, kind of correspond. Like, the whole idea of trying to infiltrate the nest, the hunt for the queen.
There's a good chance that you would have seen this one.
There's a lot of flamethrowers. That's the main weapon of choice. Does the job. I don't know. I wonder.
Queen. The idea of a queen.
The idea of having to hunt the queen to stop her from reproducing and then just going.
There is a good chance that you would have seen this. I reckon there's a good chance the guy who made It Like a Freaks has also seen it.
I think there's a really, really good chance of that, yeah. I know it was sort of flip-flopping a bit here, but the film ends where that scientist just kind of, after they've just destroyed the queens and the eggs, and he says that line, doesn't he? He just kind of reflects on the dangers of atomic testing and bombs and, I'm badly paraphrasing now, but he basically just says, who knows what else this is going to do.
When man entered the atomic age, he opened a door into a new world. What we'll eventually find in that new world, nobody can predict.
It's like it's created monsters, but this could just be the start of it or something.
Yeah.
And at the time when I watched it, I thought it was a little bit cheesy, a little bit corny,
but back then it was probably
very prevalent.
A mixture of a sincere warning and also we could make some sequels out of this.
We could make some sequels, yeah. But it is a fun little film. I mean, it is. I think its biggest flaw is it's a little bit too shy on its action. It's a little bit too heavy.
There's limitations.
Yeah, it's very kind of bogged down by scientific dialogue and exposition, and you feel the ants' absence quite a lot.
But when they are a mixture of, I like it when they're not there, but you feel that they're around.
Yeah.
And
that
then
noise.
when they are there, the scenes are fantastic, and I can see why this is, such a well-regarded film.
Very excited for a remake.
I'm just curious more than anything.
Yeah.
Like,
Is it even going to be horror, as you say?
I don't think it would be, because we don't really get that many monster movies.
No.
Unless the most recent one probably be. I'm completely wrong because I've not kept up to date with my monster movies, but Crawl was the last one I saw in the cinema.
Yeah.
But that's just regular.
Yes.
I can't remember if they're crocodiles or alligators.
Yeah.
I think they might be crocodiles.
I still haven't seen it.
Which apparently is one of Tarantino's favourites. He loved it.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah. Obviously Anaconda.
Yes, Anaconda.
I love Anaconda.
Yes.
But still has hints of... Well, they put comedic characters in there.
Yeah. I don't know. We will see. I think, if anything, all we know is that the scale has to be bigger.
I trust Michael... I'm not even going to try and pronounce his last name.
Giacchino? I
Just
think.
based on the one thing I've seen him direct, I think he can do.
Yeah.
I think he can do this because he did a fantastic job.
Should also say the director of this movie was a guy called Gordon Douglas, who, when I looked at his filmography, it's ridiculously long. But I think this is one of his more famous films. Like, he consistently worked, but he's not a name that I was, familiar with necessarily.
But he's probably churning out multiple films a year.
Just literally, yeah, like a conveyor belt. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, I had a ton of fun with it.
Yeah.
Giant ants.
Giant ants, and one of the first... Well, it was the first big bug movie, the first big creepy crawly movie.
Yeah. So do you have any more notes on this one?
I don't think so. No,
Yeah.
just, I did see a little bit of the behind the scenes. There's like a 3-minute snippet that I found on YouTube. And from what I can tell, just from those 3 minutes, they didn't really seem to have a lot of problems with the mechanics.
The mechanical answers seem to be very... It's
Yeah.
not like Jaws, like Bruce, who was
I think it's
constantly breaking. But you're adding water into the mix there.
But that's like, as soon as you put something mechanical in water, it's like you are asking for trouble, aren't you?
Yeah.
But I think, Ralph Ayres clearly did a good job.
Give it a watch.
Give it a watch.
I don't think it's not available free to stream on anything. I mean, we have to rent it on Prime.
Yeah.
I tried to get a hold of like a DVD or a video or something.
Yeah, I know. I love the poster.
I adore the poster.
I love all 1950s like monster movie posters. Just 1950s posters.
Yeah.
But yeah.
My
Check it
office at my job is covered, and I've just printed off A4 of really nice posters
Yeah.
that I found. Like Creature from the Black Lagoon is on there because that's
adore
one of my
that
all-time favorite posters.
Adore it.
And
yeah.
Summer Party Massacre 2 is on there.
Yes.
Stark contrast. So, thanks for stopping by, guys. Have you seen them? What is your favourite big bug movie? I remember a few videos ago in our timeline from when we filmed them, I said, oh no, I don't know why, I don't know when I've answered these questions. And as soon as I say that, someone fucking does answer one of them, so I need to keep asking. I can't just stop. So,
yeah. What is your favourite big bug movie?
It doesn't have to be black and white.
No, but what?
And why is it Anaconda?
Why?
I know it's not a bug, but why is your favourite monster movie Anaconda?
No, Lake Placid. What is your favourite 1950s monster movie? Too. I'd be curious to know that one.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll see you next week, guys.
Bye.